All right, so I'm talking again to Marcus Roberts, pianist, composer, educator, band leader, other things. I'm sure there's more we can add onto that, but that's a good start, right?
Oh, that's enough.
And yeah, you put a show down for us. I have not seen it. I'm so excited to go see it. Can you just give us sort of a sense of what lays in store for those to watch the show?
Well, it's a solo piano show, which I must say, I don't do as many solo concerts as I used to. I used to play solo piano all the time in the early 90s. But what I decided to do was to put together a set of what I would consider for a 60 to 65-minute program, the range of what the instrument can do or the things that I like to do. So you'll hear a little gospel. There's going to be a couple nice ballads. I'm always trying to play the blues. And then there'll be some standards that hopefully you'll recognize, you know, such as It Had to Be You. I play that one. Back Home in Indiana, I play that.
Excellent.
But most of them, and I even threw a Christmas song in there, you know.
Oh, well, tis the season.
Time. So we threw in a little Silent Night.
Excellent.
So
well, the first time I saw you you were playing solo piano. That was the first time I was in a bar in Tallahassee, Florida. I saw you. Well, I think it was the Alone with Three Giants record that came out.
That's right.
And so in Vermont, you were playing here the night I started this job at the Flynn, June 2012. You played the Jazz Festival with Bela Fleck. It was the trio and Bela Fleck.
That's right.
And then we had you back with the Modern Jazz Generation for in residence for several days. That was great fun during the year 1 year. And then we had the trio as the artist in residence for the Discover Jazz Festival. This will be the first taste I think Burlington's had of you as a solo pianist. What does it allow you to do that you can't do with groups? And what does it prohibit you from doing that you can do with groups?
Well, it allows you to do whatever you want, really, as far as tempo changes, key changes, intros. What it does not allow you to do is to make mistakes and blame somebody else. But it's fun. The piano. And of course, we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of Ludwig van Beethoven, and of course, he was really the first composer to declare himself officially as an artist who was able to financially take care of himself without royalty or patronage. And so, when we think of him and his great 32 piano sonata cycle, that's sort of what I'm thinking about right now. Just how majestic the piano is. That he wrote 32 piano sonatas and only wrote 9 symphonies. It tells you something that the piano had a regal place for him. Yeah. And for me, solo piano is really where you define yourself, because if you can play alone, you've got a lot more to work with when you do play with other people. You got a lot more that the piano can offer you if you consider it like an orchestral instrument full of color, diverse rhythm, and syncopation, with the ability to express counterpoint, melody and accompaniment, et cetera. So it just can do it all.
I guess you learn the piano alone. So like throughout your life, you're having a conversation with the piano, right? You started out in whatever room you were first practicing and just kind of talking to it clumsily, and you develop this relationship with it and how you talk to a piano, right?
Well, you kind of do, and it's too big to travel with. Pianists are kind of solitary. We're a little bit know-it-alls, you know, like anytime if you go see a jazz show, everybody's asking the piano player, well, what are the chords here? What's the melody there? And the piano player is expected. You don't really get credit for knowing it. It's just sort of expected that you should know.
It only stands out when you don't know, right?
Exactly.
Like, oh, that guy didn't know anything.
Exactly. So it's an instrument that teaches you how to be cool with being by yourself.
Right.
But then when you do finally get to a point where you're good enough to be like in a band or in a group situation, the piano really does tend to have a pretty fundamental role in whatever's going to go on.
I always feel for pianists in that, unlike a lot of musicians, like you are at the mercy of whatever instrument they have ready for you when you show up, right? Like when you show up like you said, you can't tour with it. You're not going to take a Casio with you or anything. So you're depending on wherever venue you show up to have a properly set up piano for you. I'm sure it has happened once or twice in your career where that wasn't the case.
Oh man, absolutely. And I'm not. It's funny. The great Ahmad Jamal told me a story that he went to a club somewhere, and he has very demanding, specific things that he wants when he shows up to play, and he deserves it. I mean, he's at the top of it. But he said, yeah, he showed up and piano wasn't right. He got up, he said, night off, y'all. And he left. I have not done that.
No, and that was that, huh? That was a night off.
Oh no, that was that. Yeah, that was it.
That was it. No negotiation, not a tactic.
I guess not.
Wow. Yeah, you have to have your reputation already built before you pull that trick.
Absolutely. Yep. I would never do it, but it would be great to be in that position where you could do it if you.
Right. You tell a great story about the device that you carry around. The first one that you got in the mail one day, right? Was from after being on the Charlie Rose show. Was that what the?
Oh yeah. I think way back then it was because I'd never thought we'd have anything like that, and I realized, I said, man, you don't have to carry around suitcases with just like 2 Braille books, because Braille books are so bulky and big and unwieldy. Right. But in one of these machines, I mean, you can put like several encyclopedias, they have calendars now and stopwatches. And so like when I'm in the studio, I mean, I'll use it to time stuff to make sure that my CD's not going to be too long, right? I can make sure if I've got a set of music and the presenter said, okay, well, we want 1 hour. That doesn't mean an hour and 30 minutes, right? But I can time the stuff and script the set so that the solos, and we can manage the time that way.
I guess that Charlie Rose reference I made earlier was, I remember you telling me that you did a Charlie Rose show and got a package from Stevie Wonder a few days later that said.
Yeah, that's what he sent me because, Stevie's really into technology. I mean, and honestly, all blind people are, because we don't want to be left out. So. So if you're selling something, if it's technological in nature and can help in any way, a blind guy is going to, give me one. $35. Yeah, I'll take one. And half the stuff we buy doesn't work, and you end up. But it's just that need to be part of it. But he's always been cool like that, and he sent me a couple things like that where he's like, man, you got to check this out, man. Check this out. Like, oh, yes, sir.
That's great. Oh yeah, and who's not going to do something Stevie Wonder tells you to do?
Well, exactly. No, and really. To be such a big celebrity and star, I mean, you won't find a nicer, more compassionate person.
Oh, I mean,
his spirit shines through when you get to meet him as well. Those of us who've been blessed to do so. That's right.
So I don't have to tell you that we're in crazy times. I think everybody knows that. And you're a touring musician. And you got a band, you got a trio, and you got a bigger band. What's everybody doing for the last 9 months? How you keep it together?
Well, we've all been working on technology. We've been buying equipment. We've been learning how to do videos that we hope look good, and practicing a lot. Some guys are playing gigs occasionally in public, outdoor gigs and stuff like that.
Right.
Some guys are teaching online, but basically what it is, we do projects just to keep our name out there, keep what we're doing out there, knowing that there's nothing natural about what we're doing right now. This is not how it's supposed to be. This is not how it's going to be forever. But the only good thing about it is, none of us who play for people will ever take an audience for granted. Not that we ever knew that we were, but if we were, we will never do it again. If there are 15 people out there to come see you, you'll be glad to see them.
That's right.
Okay. And I think that for those who present music, the presenters, the musicians who play, the caterers, I mean, we all play an important role, and I just miss it. I just miss that feeling you get when you walk into someone's hall and they introduce you to the person who's cooked the meal, or they introduce you to the person who made all the travel arrangements, or who did the PR for the show. I mean, this is stuff that we just didn't think that much about. But since I've been off like this, I I'm thinking about all those things, and I'm so appreciative for what's been done now. And and I like I say, it's changed my whole point of view moving forward when I am blessed to publicly perform again in front of people.
And that's interesting for you because you are always one of the more generous artists I know in terms of like you were always aware of like the public's role in this.
Right.
It wasn't just a me show for you. You were always very aware of like wanting the public to appreciate and what you were doing and having it be a conversation instead of everybody
Absolutely.
sit down and listen to me. So
Oh
it
yes. Oh
even
no.
deepened your perspective on that. That's amazing to hear. Uh,
Yeah, it's important. We have to grow from adversity. We have to learn from adversity, and we have to fight it to surmount it. So that's
the thing that I miss the most is that moment in the lobby about 5-10 minutes before the show starts.
yep.
People kind of flooding in. Everybody's like, "Whoa!" Kind of
Yeah.
on Twitter. The last, see the tech crew, last couple of crew guys running back and forth to get something, and just
That's true.
kind of that energy rising in the air.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's like an
And
anticipation.
yep,
There's something, and we're backstage. Going over last minute things, or am I
absolutely,
soloing here or here? Or no. You play after
yeah.
him. No, you.
And I'm one of the super lucky people that gets to go both worlds. Like I go backstage and go up front and I just like soak it in. It's always a beautiful feeling in both places. And obviously extreme performances are great. We're about to watch one of your performances, right? But that is a moment that it's impossible to replicate without gathering. That's about the gathering. It's about people
Yeah,
being
it's
in place to
it's
hear a thing, and it's that anticipation, and it's just nothing you can recreate anywhere else.
I don't think so, because what it is that the people, they got this private space within a public setting where they get to decide what the music means to them. No one can tell them what it means while that's going on. They have their own private view and reaction to what's going on. And that is what makes an audience special. You got a whole room of people who all came together, who don't know each other, who don't interact with each other, and they all have their own individual private experiences with the music, which sometimes becomes a shared experience when people are all moved by a moment in the music that they all react to. And that's when you know it's special.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I admire the fact that when you contacted me and said, "Look, would you be willing to do a show like this?" And I thought about it, I said, "Well, why not? It's different. It's not what any of us could have anticipated a year ago, but it just goes to show that music is such a powerful force. It's such a necessary part. And I think people like to participate and hear music that is being created for them,
Yeah,
specifically for them.
that's the truth.
So I really hope people know that every note I played, I'm grateful that you asked me to do it, and that whoever chooses to listen to it, that they took the time.
Well, I think watching you play solo, I mean, I love the trio.
Right.
I'm invested in the trio and the group, the modern jazz generation as well. But there's just something about, maybe it's because it was the first time I saw, there's something so special to me about watching you play the piano solo. And something I bring up every time we talk is like your rhythmic conception to me is just so wild. Yeah. It's like so. It's almost crazy sometimes. Like the way the tunes will just start all of a sudden, just the entire feel of the rhythm will just change like radically, just for like a few bars, and then it'll go back. And just the way you're able to shift rhythmically and be so comfortable with these, to someone like me, kind of jarring but beautifully jarring rhythmic shifts is one of my favorite things to see when you play solo. And you've got a trio like with Jason and Rod that can probably keep up with you when you're doing that, right? And you do that
they
live.
can. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not a problem. But,
no,
but there's something in live where when I see you do that, it thrills me, to be able to take a tune that's like going along and all of a sudden it's like whoop, bop, 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 bop.
right.
The entire thing makes my shoulders move in a weird way, and I just love that. That's something you practice and you've worked on from an early age, is having a rhythmic conception. Is it unique to you? Is it something you learn?
Yeah, I've been working on it since middle school, but I really developed it when I got a chance, when I played with the great Jeff Tane Watts, when I was on the road with Wynton Marsalis in the 80s. Yeah. And also the great Herlin Riley, who took Tane's place. So it was two totally different views of rhythm and groove, but I learned a lot from both of them. And of course, in my own groups, I've tried to expand on some of those concepts and add an element of just soul and blues to it that I will never get away from, because it was drilled into me by my mother from the time I was like 5.
Soul and blues.
Yeah, she said, "Well, people got to feel something when you play. If they don't feel anything, you're wasting time." And so I would
She,
play, and she would just say, "Well, I don't feel anything from that. So you're gonna keep playing until I feel something." And that's
wow.
that was the first time I really understood that music is about communication.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when you get to the highest level, self-expression eventually becomes communication, but at the top level, it becomes communion, which is when you and the audience feel the same way about the same notes that are being played. And that's the ultimate goal.
Oh, I agree with that. I think the only time we've had a taste of Marcus Roberts solo in Burlington was at the jazz festival with the trio. You were playing
Yep.
Flynn Space, and you did one number, you did Cherokee solo, and blew the roof off the place. And it was one of those mid-set standing ovations. Like everybody just was pulled to their feet when you were done because it was just so amazing. And you can find it on YouTube, I bet, because it was part of our TV show.
Right. I think so.
Just an absolutely scintillating moment. So I'm so excited to see what we got in front of us. And thank you so much for doing this for the Flynn, for Burlington. And we're really excited to watch it.
Yeah, my pleasure, Steve. And you guys, you all continue to support the Flynn. Steve McQueen, he does great programming. He's done it everywhere he's been, and you all are quite blessed and fortunate to have him. So support those concerts. Check them out. They're diversified and full of surprise and good stuff. Check it out.